At first glance, you immediately notice that they've gone back to their iconic design. I've been waiting for this design since they launched the iPad Pro, and I'm really happy that it's back. I found that the boxy design makes this easier to grip, feel more expensive, and most importantly, it looks amazing. It's thinner and lighter compared to the iPhone 11, but it has the same screen size, which is great. And I think at this size, you get the best of both worlds. It's big enough to comfortably consume content, and it's also really easy to use with one hand. I really enjoyed it. When I first got this phone, I started watching Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision content, and I gotta say, the stereo speakers are really good. This brand new display packs in more pixels than the iPhone 11, so finally, you can watch YouTube videos at 1080p. Don't get me wrong, this iPhone has an amazing display, but in a world with Quad HD displays, it just felt weird. Anyways, Apple always reminds us that spec is not the whole story, and in this case, yeah, this display is absolutely terrific. It has perfect colors, it has reasonable peak brightness, it supports HDR10, and it has a cool name, Super Retina XDR. That's a cool name. This OLED display is coated with ceramic shield, which improves drop protection. No way I'm gonna test that, right? Actually, I'm more concerned with scratch resistance, and so far, nothing bad happened, so that's good. The only thing not cool about this display is 60Hz refresh rate. I'm really surprised that Apple didn't bump up the refresh rate this year. But surprisingly, this iPhone still felt so smooth. As I said in my previous video, animation actually matters more than you think. A phone with well thought out animation would really bring your experience to another level. They really put a lot of work into this. Okay, let's do something real quick. If you have an iPhone with iOS 14, pull it out, now start using it. Well, this time try to focus on the animation. You can see how much work went into it. For example, when you increase or decrease your volume, you can notice that the volume bar expands and contracts. All these little things add up and give us a well-perceived smoothness. So if you ever felt that iPhone is smoother than any other 60Hz phone, now that was the reason. Apple introduced MagSafe on this iPhone, which they graciously didn't provide in the box. Same goes to the power brick, so that explains the really thin box. MagSafe is optional, you don't have to use it, but if you end up buying it for $40, it will charge your phone at 15 watts. If you already have a wireless charger, don't worry, it will still work with that. Speaking of charging, this phone has 2,800 mAh of lithium goodness, which is less than last year's iPhone. They probably needed space to cram in the MagSafe magnets, I don't know. So to test it out, I tried constantly using it, by watching videos back to back, doing high intensive workloads, playing games. For the record, it was not a productive day. I killed it by evening, but on a realistic use case, it will get you through the day with somewhere around 6 hours of screen on time. But if battery is your biggest concern, this is not what you're looking for. Alright, the camera on this phone is improved quite a bit from the old one. The main camera is still a 12 megapixel sensor, which is sufficient for most cases. But when you start zooming in, then you'll notice the picture starts to fall apart, and not having a telephoto lens also doesn't help. Apple's solution for this is Deep Fusion, which works well, but when you start cropping in, you'll notice the lack of detail. Other than that, it has mind-blowing dynamic range, it has natural-looking colors. I like the way they've added a little saturation and warmth just to make the image pop compared to previous iPhones where sometimes photos will look a bit dull. Low-light shots also look pretty surprising. Apple's night mode really brings out a lot of details in the shadows, and the wide-angle lens also does a pretty great job at capturing detail and dynamic range. Not as great as the main camera. So, at the price of $800 for the base model, I think it's a really good buy. I know $800 is not cheap, but keep in mind that this is not a budget version. It is the flagship's little brother, so it's not gonna come cheap. Think about it. You're getting a very similar experience, but at a much lower price. And that's good. That's good for everyone. So that's it for today. Have a nice day. Bye.